Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If there's one thing we know will succeed in Hollywood, it is the rock star musical biopic. We saw it with Bohemian Rhapsody. Netflix recently released one called The Dirt, based on Motley Crue. And there's currently one about David Bowie in production as we speak. Now, my real question is, when are we going to get the rock star musical biopic that we deserve? And I'm talking about Rick Astley. You heard me. When will we get the Rick Astley movie that we so rightfully need? Maybe I'm just going to have to write it myself. Because we're never going to give him up. That can be the title. Never going to give you up. The Rick Astley story. Yeah. Well, today I'm reviewing Rocketman, the story of Elton John. Interestingly enough, Rocketman is directed by Dexter Fletcher, who also directed parts of Bohemian Rhapsody when the original director, Bryan Singer, was fired because Bryan Singer is a mess and not a good person. That's a lot of drama that I'm not going to get into. If you want to learn more about that, go on over to good old Google and it'll tell you all about it. Anyway, Dexter Fletcher does a fantastic job directing Rocketman, and I think the reason I enjoyed this movie so much is because of its narrative structure, and the reason I love the narrative, I think, is because of two different factors. One is because it's just a full-fledged musical. I didn't realize this until 5 minutes into the movie when I sat down and there was just a parade of people and they were out on the streets singing and dancing, and I was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I go to the movies, to be surprised and to see people dancing in the street in a full-on musical. I was expecting more of, like, I don't know, just Elton John going on stage and singing, but no, they surprised me, and this is like, the characters literally communicate with each other through song in parts of this movie, which I love. I love when people do that in musicals. I wish we did that in real life. Unfortunately, we don't. Hopefully one day we will. There are specific moments where the characters are just, the lyrics tell you so much about the person and the character's development of that person. It kind of reminded me of A Star is Born. I know that sounds odd because in A Star is Born, the characters don't communicate through song, but you know I'm going to get that Star is Born reference in no matter what. But in that movie, the lyrics of the songs tell you so much about each person. And in this movie, that's how it is too. Like, Elton John's lyrics tell you a lot about each character when that character sings the song. So I really enjoyed that. And I just freaking love musicals so much. Oh my gosh. It's like my favorite genre. I just love it. And the musical numbers are so well done. And the choreography is amazing. Whoever the choreographer was, I'm going to write it down. Such a fantastic job. Another reason the narrative works so well for me is because it's so whimsical. A lot of biopics are really paint by number, and they kind of just tell you, like, well, this person was a child, and then this happened to them, and then they became famous, and then they got involved in drugs, and then this happened, and then this also happened, they got married, and then this happened. But this one is not like that. It is so uniquely done because we know Elton John is an artist. He loves music and he comes up with music, and to see how in his mind he comes up with that, or how the movie portrays that he comes up with that, is just so interesting and unique. And I really love the way that Dexter Fletcher kind of puts that out there. I think it's just so interesting, and I don't want to give away how the movie, shows these scenes, because it's really nice to experience it on the big screen and see it, but they're like these dream sequences. In and they're kind of grounded in reality. They start out in reality, and then they go to this place of fantasy, and it's awesome to see. It is just so unique, and I loved it. Taron Egerton just straight up knocks it out of the park in this movie. Dare I say it, the first potential Oscar nominee of the year. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I mean, the first scene that he just comes out singing Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting, and I was like, yeah, it is. I mean, yeah. He is really singing in this. He does all of this, like, choreography. He has, like, Elton John's mannerisms, and he does so well in this. He portrays, like, the shyness of Elton John, and then just the complete flamboyance as well. And my gosh, the Rocketman scene. I don't even know how to describe, but I do know someone who can describe.
Brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before, unafraid to reference or not reference.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's just something you have to see to, like, fully comprehend. It's just such a good performance. And there's so many emotions behind the performance, because the movie begins with Elton John as a child, and as a child his name was Reggie Dwight, and it's a very emotional childhood. It's very chaotic. His parents are very cold and unfeeling, and in turn that leads to kind of a life of self-loathing, and then he kind of ascends to fame and struggles with his sexuality and falls into this life of drug addiction and alcohol addiction, and then it just becomes, it's very sad to watch. But the way that Taron Egerton kind of wraps up all those things in one performance is so incredible, and it's sad, but it's also it's such a performance. Oh my gosh, it's like hard to even describe, really. You just have to see it. I also think the writing is really good. It's much grittier than Bohemian Rhapsody, I would say. Like, it shows the dark side of fame, like, and just very difficult personal relationships and self-loathing, sort of, and just how to deal with that and how to come to terms with that. And I think there's an incredible scene in this movie about personal acceptance and forgiveness that is so well written and very moving. And I really enjoyed that. So I really loved the screenplay as well as the lead performance. Those were two of the strongest points for me. Jamie Bell is in this movie as Bernie Taupin, Elton John's writing partner, and I think he did a really good job. It's important that they highlighted Bernie Taupin because he had a massive impact in Elton John's career. Without him, they wouldn't have half the songs. And I think Jamie Bell did a really good job. I'm glad that Elton John had such a positive influence in such a dark time in his life. And that was nice to see their endearing friendship. Now, Richard Madden plays John Reed. Now, this is not Prince Charming. Lily James is going to be upset with him, and he is not going to get an invitation to Cinderella 2. So John Reed was a music manager for Elton John and for Freddie Mercury. First he like looks cool and he wears these suits and has an accent, and you're like, oh, okay, this guy wears suits and has an accent and his name is John Reed. And then he comes in and he's like the worst person ever, and he's like, well, I'll still make money if you die. And you're like, what? Can you leave my house? To quote Jennifer Lawrence in Mother, get out of my house. The sink is not braced. So, I don't know. Also, this guy is still alive, and at one point in his life, he managed Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance. So, I hope we get that biopic one day. Can you imagine? I need that in my life. Anyway, we're gonna move on from John Reed, because that's like, I don't like that topic. The cinematography in this movie, top notch. There's literally a scene where, like, Elton John is just, like, on a spinning record, playing the piano. That is quality stuff. Like, that's stuff I want to see. Thank you, whoever did the cinematography. I enjoy scenes like that. Creativity is fun. I, as you can tell, very much enjoyed this movie. I think it is such a creative biopic. It's not like paint by number. It is just very whimsical and creative and interesting. And I love a good musical, and they gave me a good musical. And that's what I'm asking for. I think the performances are great, the direction's great, and the writing is very, very interesting. And I would recommend seeing Rocketman. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And it is in theaters on May 31st, so you should check it out. So, if you enjoyed this review, you should check out more of my written reviews on showmethemovies.net. And thank you for watching. Check back here soon for more. Thanks.